We ready? You want to start this one?
How do we start these?
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Hey everybody, I'm Shaler.
And I'm Jonathan.
And we are the Tomorrow Guys. And so we recently just got back from a trip at the Walt Disney World Resort, and we are going to share with you our top 5 overall experiences, not just limited to attractions, but our top 5 overall experiences that we encountered together. This trip, we were there for 6 days. We did 5 days in the parks. It was my wife's first time at Walt Disney World.
That was pretty special.
That was great. It was his. Well, of course, Sandra's been. Your wife's been.
Yeah, a lot more than that.
Many times. So, we're going to run through our top 5 experiences, and I hope that you will, when you go to your trip, you will consider checking out what we enjoy a lot. So, Do you want to go first? How about you go first?
Okay, I'll go first.
And we don't know what each other's top 5 are, but
So we're going to start at 5 and work to our way to 1. My number 5 was we ate at Boma.
Okay.
At the Animal Kingdom Lodge. In my opinion, the best meal we had.
Okay, yeah.
That's my opinion, but probably because it had ribs on it, you know. But I was surprised, for a buffet, it was really good. I mean, it was really good for a buffet. And a lot of food. The quality of the meat was good, I thought. What did you think?
I liked Boma. It's at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's African, supposedly African cuisine. I've actually been to Africa, so it wasn't quite the same as actually going to Africa. But I think if you go to the parks and you want to go and take your family and have a great meal, first of all, you just need to go check out the Animal Kingdom Lodge because it's a fabulous hotel. There are animals grazing out from that you can see, and you can go check that out. And so going there, checking that out, seeing the lobby, what they have on display there, looking at the animals, and sitting down and having a great meal. Yeah. It's a great experience.
It's a great. So what's your number 5?
My number 5 are 2 attractions that I believe go hand in hand. I can't say one without the other. And that is always getting to ride the People Mover and the Carousel of Progress.
Oh,
those 2 things, they're staples of the Magic Kingdom. They're always there, but they're just such classic Disney attractions and they just have that touch of Walt on them, which is you don't see as much at Disney World as you do at Disneyland.
It's true. It does have a touch of Walt, that's for sure, especially Carousel of Progress.
Yeah, he directed it, and that Carousel of Progress was actually the one that was at Disneyland that they packed up and they shipped that thing over to the East Coast. And to me, the People Mover and the Carousel of Progress are just...
I'll give you 2 things for one because I think you're right. They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand.
And they're right next to each other. And
it's hard to say one without saying the other.
I will say that we had problems getting on the People Mover a couple of times. There was lines a couple of times. I was shocked. I don't know if it's because something was broken or whatever, but it was kind of weird because you usually just walk right on.
Sure.
And so
there was a line that at one point the People Mover, which if you're familiar with it, you would know, but the line was 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And because I'd written it a couple times, I was like, no, I'm not going to wait. But I'd gladly wait 20 minutes if that was only.
But I got there that one evening that I met you and Natalie for fireworks. I got there early before y'all did. I was able to get on it, and remember I told you I did a nighttime ride around it, and that was great. So awesome! All right, you ready for number 4?
Number 4.
Number 4. This also could be a tip.
All right.
Too is we rode the ferry boat.
Oh wow!
We started out. Shader wanted to do this, but number 4 was the ferry boat ride from the transportation center to the Magic Kingdom at 7:20 in the morning.
Well, you need to explain. That was our first day at the parks.
First day at the parks. So first morning, hadn't gone into a theme park yet. And our first park, because it was my wife's first time,
was going to be the Magic Kingdom.
Right.
And we thought that we kind of needed the big grand entrance.
Yeah.
And one of the things that when I was a kid, we would always start from the transportation and ticket center because we would stay off property.
Right.
So the buses,
because your mom and dad were cheap.
Yeah, because they were cheap. They wouldn't put us on property. Bless our hearts, we stayed at the Grand Cypress.
Yeah.
So they were just. I was
you could have stayed at the Polynesian. I mean,
right.
Know,
but the bus would drop you off at the transportation and ticket center. You would then board the monorail and go through the Contemporary, which is amazing, and get off at the Magic Kingdom. So there's a part of me that just says your trip has to start at the transportation and ticket center. Jonathan and I ourselves had never taken the ferry boat across. It was Natalie's first time. So we get there at the crack of dawn, and we walk up. We didn't even know if the ferry boats were open yet. We walk over there, and we say, hey, is the ferry boat ready to go? And the guy goes, come on, it's ready, waiting for you. And we walk on that boat, and it was the four of us, Jonathan and I and our wives. We were the only ones.
Hey, this is my number 4.
Sorry.
You're doing all the talking.
Sorry.
So the great thing about the ride is that, it was still early morning. The lights were on the Magic Kingdom. So it wasn't,
from nighttime.
Yeah, from nighttime. So the sun was coming up, and it was just absolutely fabulous. And we even saw Bambi crossing. Remember that?
Yeah.
The deer crossed from one of the islands, swimming over to the main part, to the main shore. And that was really magical. But anyway, I thought that was great. Number 4 for you?
Number 4. It was going to Trader Sam's Grog Grotto. Trader Sam's is a really cool...
Is it always on your list?
I love Trader Sam's, man. Trader Sam's was on my top 5 at Disneyland. That's the Enchanted Tiki Bar at Disneyland. At Disney World, it's the Grog Grotto. It's at the Polynesian Hotel. And we went in there. They have this special drink that you order that comes in a Nautilus, which is an old attraction from 20,000 Leagues.
That sucker's big.
It's big.
It's like that big. Right?
And I got it. And I bought it. And I took that Nautilus and I put it in my office.
Yes.
And it's just, I loved it.
It is impressive. Most impressive mug ever.
I've been waiting to go.
Not a mug. It's not a mug. It's a piece of...
We went to Disney World last year and we went to Trader Sam's, and that drink's a little expensive. And I decided, you know what? I don't need to spend the money. And my biggest regret on that trip was not getting that Nautilus. So for like a year and a half, I've sat around and said, I'm going to go back.
Oh, I remember us going.
I'm getting that Nautilus.
When we were going around, and Natalie said, oh, no, this is agreed upon. He's getting that Nautilus. So, all right. So, you ready for my number 3?
Yep.
My number 3 was staying at a non-Disney hotel, the Dolphin. Yeah, I'll be honest. I was shocked. I had read so many things from Disney files that said, the Dolphin, the Swan, they were really nice hotels, but they didn't have that Disney feel to them.
Which, and if you don't know this...
I agree to that, don't you? I mean, I agree that it doesn't have quite that Disney feel.
But, it's confusing, though. The Swan and Dolphin are right behind Epcot.
Right. I mean, it's on property. I mean, you take the same boat that the people at the boardwalk and at the beach club and yacht club take to get to Epcot. It doesn't, it doesn't have that Disney flair to it, just the Disneyness of it. But it's a great hotel.
And you don't leave the bubble.
And it had its own charms. I mean, getting off that boat and walking down that promenade with the palm trees being lit up and the music playing and that big, gigantic dolphin fountain. I mean,
they're beautiful buildings.
Okay. No Disney hotel has a fountain that big.
Yeah,
that's a huge fountain, and it's just
Michael Graves was the architect.
Graves was the architect, hired by Disney to do it, but it had been freshly remodeled just this year. The lobby was amazing. I mean, the lobby was just jaw dropping with that giant chandelier and everything. But the rooms were really nice. So I that's my number 3.
If you don't know, that we stayed at the Dolphin. It's right across from the Swan. They're sister hotels. The Dolphin really is a Sheraton. You wouldn't know that. And the Swan would be considered a Westin. And they have wonderful beds. They're Starwood properties. We stayed, and little trick, we stayed for free because we used our points. Maybe we'll do a video and tell you exactly how we did that.
We're going to do a video on that.
But we were able to stay on property behind Epcot in a fabulous hotel for 5 nights.
For free.
For free.
It was great. It was an awesome. So that's my number 3. What's your number 3?
My number 3 was going to the Food and Wine Festival, walking around the World Showcase.
I can see that.
It was my second time to be at the Food and Wine Festival. I'd done it, the last time I'd done it was in 2009. I was down in Orlando for several months for working. And so I snuck over to Food and Wine as much as I could.
Yeah.
But to be able to go back, to be able to take my wife for the first time, it was Jonathan's first time.
It was my second time. It was my Sanders' first time.
Food and Wine?
Yeah, I've been in 2006.
Okay. They have booths set up from lots of countries from all over the world where you can sample cuisine and drinks. And it's, some of them are okay and some of them are really great. And
everything that Sandra and I had were great. The only thing I had that I couldn't eat was I don't like real hot food, so we got a dish in the Africa booth, and it was spicy, but it was too spicy for me. I mean, I couldn't eat it. Sandra did; she loved it. So I mean, I understand. I almost put that on my list.
Now let me say this. Let me ask you a question. I loved Food and Wine. The spring of 2000, so this is, what are we in? Fall of 2017?
Right.
Spring of 2016, Jonathan and I went to Flower and Garden.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, I didn't think I would say this, but I think I like Flower and Garden better.
They're 2 different events.
I know, but if I said...
I will say, I think the park looks better for Flower and Garden.
If I told you, hey, next year, you can either go during Flower and Garden or Food and Wine, which one are you picking?
If I can go in March.
You can only go once.
If I can go in March, it'd be Flower and Garden. If I had to wait till April or May, I'd probably go Food and Wine. I would look at the weather. I do say that the park looks better for Flower and Garden. Yeah, I love the floating things and I love the floating topiaries or whatever they have in the water. I love all that. There is more food and wine options at Food and Wine. There are some at Flower and Garden, but there's way more.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it was just because the weekend we were there, because we were there on marathon weekend, but it got really crowded.
Yeah.
That weekend. Luckily, we got to experience it before the crowds hit, but that got really crowded.
If I had just come back from Flower and Garden, I would probably say, really, I like Food and Wine better. So that's how it goes. All right.
Where are we to?
Number 2.
I think this is where we may get close to each other.
Nope.
Okay. No. All right.
But
number 2 was our first day doing the monorail pub crawl.
Yeah.
That was my second thing. I really enjoyed it. And we did something different this time. We actually started off at the Wilderness Lodge at the new, what is that called? The new lounge out on the lake.
I can't remember the name of it.
Sorry guys, we're terrible at this. Sometimes we forget the names. But that new lounge that's on the lake is, I want to go back there again and just spend like an hour or so and just sit and relax.
I want to go back there again. It's on Bay Lake. And they said that the water pageant goes by there.
Right.
I think next time we go,
yeah,
going and sitting down there and watching the water pageant go by, I think that needs to be on our list.
But the monorail pub crawl, here's the thing. We've done this twice now. We still haven't finished at the Contemporary.
No.
Yeah, I will say, you love Trader Sam's, and that ate up a lot of time because it was really crowded and we had to put our name down. And we wound up sitting outside. Sandra and I actually got our drinks and ate outside.
I walked Natalie around the resort.
Right, while they did that. And then we still had to wait when y'all got back. We finally got in. And we got in, that was the thing, that was the only negative of the pub crawl, is that they said, oh, okay, we had a buzzer and we got buzzed. And we got in there and there were no seats for 4 people. It was like, oh no, you just got to find it. So we wound up standing around. I think Sandra and I grabbed a couple of seats. You guys pulled some seats up, and we were in there a good 20 minutes.
Even though I liked it, here's the negative. We put our name on a list for 4 people. It buzzed, and we walked in, and they didn't have a table for 4. We walked in, they said, oh, just go find a place. So, which is fine if you want me to just go in and find a place,
Right.
but then don't make me wait for half an hour.
Right.
Do one or the other.
Yeah, we could have found a place before.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my number. My number 2 was Monorail Pub Crawl. It was a great way to start the trip. I love that. So, what's your number 2?
My number 2, you've already mentioned, was that first morning taking the ferry boat across for the big grand entrance, and that being my wife's first time to approach the Magic Kingdom, having the whole boat to ourselves.
That's what I was going to say. We didn't mention that the last time when we talked about it earlier. We had the whole boat to ourselves.
Yeah, 4 of us. And we, having the whole boat to ourselves, seeing the lights, the sun's coming up, the lights are still on the castle and Space Mountain, seeing real wildlife, the deer swim across the water, like just everything about it. It was the perfect.
The only thing that made it better is if an alligator would have taken down the deer. That would have been great.
The alligator's still after Captain Hook.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So are we down?
Number 1. This is. I know what your number 1's going to be. I know what my number 1's going to be.
Flight of Passage?
Flight of Passage.
Oh my gosh. I mean, where do we start? I mean...
So Flight of Passage is the new ride that opened up in Pandora, the world of Avatar and the Animal Kingdom. It's been open for a couple months now.
Yeah.
Just a few months. And it is the most incredible ride I've ever been on in my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, everything works about it. I mean, just everything works. I mean, the queue is amazing. I mean, it's so detailed. I mean, it's right along with the Avatar movies. So you feel like you're in one of those research facilities going through.
We start outside.
Which, we're not talking about Pandora at this point, but the land is amazing. I mean, what they created, Joe Rohde and James Cameron to put together.
The land itself, like you were saying, is just beautiful. It's stunning.
It is amazing. I mean, but the ride, let's talk about the ride a little bit because I don't think it's been described very much in detail. And I think by now people would like to kind of know. I mean, basically they took the technology from Soarin' and they upped it like 120% above what it was. And so it is a movie ride. I mean, let's just say it, but
it's more than that.
Way it's more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, you go in and you get on these things that look like
you sit on like
a bike-like thing, but it's not a bike.
If you're familiar with the Tron coaster,
yeah,
I think it's similar to that, where that you sit straddling a seat and you lean forward just a little bit, like you're on a bicycle.
Like or a motorcycle.
Handlebars are out in front of you, and there's a little strap or a contraption that comes up and just
you.
Pushes on your back. Pushes is probably a strong word, but just kind of holds you in place. You don't
on your
the back of your calves.
Back of your calves.
It's not uncomfortable at
all. But
it
basically locks you into place, and there's a reason for that. Because the second or the third time you rode it, the second time I rode it, I paid attention. So you're in this little room, and there's a door. There's like a window, but it's like a solid piece of metal in front of you.
Yeah.
But you can tell it's going to open. And the first time I rode it, I really didn't pay too much attention because I was just overwhelmed with the ride itself. But the second time, we actually went up a couple of stairs, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And when it opened, the first thing I did is I looked to the side. And basically, it's a wall. Let me do this real quick. So it's a wall. And in the wall are these little bays that have 8 bikes.
13.
No, I think it was 16. It was 2 bays, 8 and 16.
8 and 8.
8 and 8. And I want to say it was 6 of these across a wall. So this gigantic wall. And the wall's flat from what I could tell. And I counted, and I think we were either 4 or 5 stories up. So it was just a wall of these things going 4 or 5 stories up. 6 or 8 across. And then the screen was bigger than that.
Yeah.
The screen was gigantic. So you're like on these bikes, and then the bike moves, basically with the Banshee.
Right.
But it sounds like, oh, that doesn't sound. that doesn't sound like that great, but you feel the banshee. You feel it breathe. You feel
the seat that you sit on moves slightly in and out, and which is representing the banshee breathing.
Oh, it feels like he's breathing.
It feels like he's breathing as you're flying through Pandora. It's just similar to Soarin'. Yeah. They spray different scents as you go through different places. There's one part when you go down on the water, and there'll be mist that kind of just sprayed up on you.
I know all this other sensory overload stuff seems so amazing, but actually, however they got that mist to come out, it wasn't like the typical spray you in the face Disney water effect. This felt like sea mist.
Yeah.
It just felt like sea mist. So that whatever those misters are doing a great job, because I thought, oh, that smells and feels like the mist coming off the sea. So, I don't know. It was a fabulous ride. It was just a fantastic ride. I want to go back and ride it again. And I don't want to bring something up. I do have a question. I hesitate to do it now, but you know what? I'm just going to do it now. And I think we talked about this in the park. It's a great ride. It's an awesome ride. I think it's the best ride in the Disney parks now. I don't know if this stands the test of time.
Why?
I think it's almost too dependent on technology. And what I mean by yeah.
Oh yeah, we did talk about.
We did talk about that, and it's like we look at the classics, the Haunted Mansion, Splash Mountain,
the dark rides, Peter Pan.
You look at all those, and yeah, they're not technologically advanced. They were. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean was when it came out,
and they do update those. They have projection things in there and stuff.
Those stand the test of time, and
those will be there in 30 years.
Those will be there
40 years.
Yeah, I still think they will be.
I'll take my kids and my grandkids on them.
I don't know if this will be there in 30 years.
Yeah,
I don't get me wrong, it's the best ride out there right now, in my opinion. But I don't know if the longevity is going to be there. Time will tell.
And how much of that has to do with how well the new Avatar films are going to do?
Well, I will say this. And you've been to Universal Studios, I haven't. But I just experiencing Soarin' and then experiencing, the Flight of Passage, and even to some extent, the river journey in Pandora. The Imagineers and all these ride designers are relying, I think, too heavily on screens.
I agree.
And they're getting away from what made Disney special from a ride standpoint. And I know they've done the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but even that, I'm not wild about the projection faces and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I will say this, the one thing about the River Journey, we saw the next generation of animatronics.
And it was incredible.
It was incredible.
But they only had one. The rest of it was...
Well, there was an animatronic, but it wasn't fantastic at the beginning. Did you see it over on the right-hand side? Did you miss that? Yeah. There was
the River Journey.
Yeah, there is an animatronic.
Oh, he was just the guy just standing
there. He talks and his eyes move a little bit, but that's it.
Okay.
He doesn't do much. So that's our top. That's our top 5. You had a tip for today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's our tip for the day, and this was the first time I'd done this. My tip, if you were planning a Walt Disney World vacation, is on your travel day, your day in. Don't make that a park day. Usually, I'm so excited. I'm ready to go. I'm taking the first flight out in the morning. I'm landing at 10:30, and my rear end is going to that hotel, doing an early check-in, and I'm in the parks by noon. And I go and I blow and go till they shut it down. But this time, we got in early, and we didn't go to the parks, and we had a whole day and a whole afternoon to relax. We went and had a nice lunch on the boardwalk.
Right.
Natalie and I went for a little workout, a little jog over to the Hollywood Studios. They did whatever they do. They probably went and played bingo at the old folks' home. I'm just kidding.
I think
I don't know what that. Anyway.
I think we just took a nap. Because we had driven 3 hours to pick them up.
And then, so we went and worked out, and then after that, we had some time. We walked around a little bit, and then we went and did over to and did the monorail pub crawl thing, and had a. It was just. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, and we got back early because we knew we had an early morning, and everybody got a good night's sleep, and it was great. I agree with that. I like doing it that way. I've done it that way several times, and Shaler is finally maturing a little bit. A little bit. Although he was at the parks until like 10 minutes before we had to leave for the airport. So that just shows you he squeezes as much as...
They were waiting in the lobby to go take the cab to the airport or take the Uber to the airport. And I get this text from Jonathan, and I was like, I shouldn't respond. He's like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, at the American Adventure.
Yeah. Well, he had told me that he was...
Hey, you said 4 o'clock.
Right, but
it's like 3:50.
Yeah, but you said at like 3:30. You said, "Oh, we're headed down." I thought he was still in his room.
No,
because he had a late checkout. But he and then he was right. He was headed back. It just took him that long to get back. So anyway, hey, it was a great show. I like this. This was a lot of fun, and we're going to do more top fives on our trip and everything. And we have more coming up really soon that we're going to do, that we're going to talk about the differences between Disneyland, Disney World, and we're going to talk about, we're going to have Natalie on the show.
Yeah.
We need to have Natalie.
Hear from my wife what she thought on her first time. She'd only been a Disneylander. And so
so we're going to have a lot of stuff coming up in the months ahead. So you guys stay tuned. Anyway, hey, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Shaler.
And we are the Tomorrow Guys.